preview. Brentford against Tottenham, first game of the season. We all remember, cast our mind backs when we played Brentford away, first game of the season in a new dawn, in a new era under Ange Postecoglou. And now it's a new era and a new dawn under Roberto De Zerbi.
Yeah.
And we are not as many signings to fit in under Ange, albeit we had quite a few debutants that game as well, with James Maddison and Mickey van der Ven and
Vicario.
Destiny Udogie and Vicario. So we had a few debutants that day, but it just feels different this time round in terms of the rebuild. The whole club has been just changed from top to bottom, and the way we do business and everything like that. I think there's so much excitement going into this season, but we've just been speaking, haven't we, about the lineup that we're going to be playing tomorrow and how different that's going to look as the season, gets into swing, with Mickey van der Ven coming back and Maddison and Mateus Fernandes fully integrated, and the new signings, hopefully Marmoush, Gakpo and Savinho. So I think tomorrow is going to be incredibly hard, man. Incredibly hard.
I think not only that portion of it, what you're talking about, but you also have to add in, we're playing a Brentford team. Not only are they probably tactically suited to what we're trying to do in terms of fast players in transition, physical players as well, very good at set pieces. Also, that's another point. Looking at our lineup, doesn't seem the most physical. Are we going to get bullied from set pieces? That's obviously a concern.
They got that new player Sangare in the middle, who's supposed to be an absolute beast.
Yeah, so you've got that. You're playing against Brentford, so not only are they tactically suited, but they're a very they're all together. Like, they've been together for a while. They all know their jobs.
A settled team,
that's the word. They're very settled. I mean, apart from Sangare, I'm looking at the team that's predicted to play tomorrow. Apart from Sangare, everyone was there last season. They had a brilliant season as well. So even if we had our best team out, it's never an easy place to go and expect to win and expect to go there and roll them over. So Brentford, under Keith Andrews has done a brilliant job, done really, really well since takeover from Thomas Frank. They seem to have gone up a level, haven't they, Brentford, since he's taken over. They seem to be a different effect going forward.
A couple of levels, to be honest.
Yeah, and you look at that front line, Utara, Sharda, Thiago, they got pace. Thiago and Sharda know where the goal is. Utara is a brilliant dribbler who can create chances. So it's going to be a really, really tough game tomorrow. And there's a chance we're all over the place. There's a chance we're figuring things out. There's a chance we're not quite up to speed. But also, from what I've seen in pre-season, I do think we probably come into it a bit confident in ourselves. Obviously, there's a lot of new going on, but most of these players have been playing under De Zerbi over this pre-season. We do look a lot better in possession than we have been. I'm sure there'll be periods of the game where we do have control and we're playing it around them, and they're pressing us, but we're playing it around, and we're showing impressive things, because we do have some good players on the pitch tomorrow. But I do also feel like there's going to be a lot of periods where Brentford are really settled in the game and they're just finding solutions to the problems that we're posing, which we don't know how to deal with. And then if that happens, if they do take the lead in this game, especially in the second half, if they got the lead at any point, I do worry about us coming back into the game if they ever get control.
I think if you look at the Hoffenheim game, last week, there were so many periods of the game where we just looked dynamite in the transition and our passing game, and how progressive we were, playing out the back and tail down the left, more down the right. There were certain periods of the game where we looked really good. But then there were other periods of the game where we just looked so wide open, and they created way too many chances for my liking. Obviously, we got another week on the training pitch, so hopefully you would think some of these issues can be ironed out, and even but us looking good on the ball can get even better with another week left on the training ground. But I'm just looking at the qualities that Brentford pose, and if we are that open as we were against Hoffenheim, as we could potentially be against Brentford, they will score multiple goals. Not just they will score multiple goals. Mm-hmm. They've got quality in that front line. Kevin Sharda in the last couple of years has been banging in the goals. We all know what Igor Thiago did last season, and Utara as well, also a threat. And you're looking down their right-hand side, down our left-hand side, Robertson looked like, particularly in the second half, how he can get got at. And Utara will definitely know that and will probably target it. So with him and Senesi, down that left-hand side, I do worry about that situation.
Yeah, and I think that is something to worry about for sure. I think as well in this kind of game, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a goal, because I just think us being more positive in general, just the way De Zerbi is, the way he's got us playing, I wouldn't be surprised if we create something, create a chance, maybe Tell comes up with a bit of magic and we get a goal. The problem is if we concede more than a goal, I don't know if we get more than one. So I am quite concerned that, as I've said, I can see it being quite an even game maybe going into that second half, but then I feel like there'll be moments where if the passing escapes us, or there's moments where, the Premier League games more often than not, they're just to and fro in control. And it's all about when you're on top, can you take advantage of it? And when you're, lacking control of the game, and when the other opposition are putting on you, can you hold out and can you defend? And I think obviously over the last 2 seasons, we haven't been able to take advantage of when we're on top. And when we're not on top, we look open as anything and we're conceding loads and loads of chances and goals. So I think we're going to look a lot better when we're on top and hopefully take more advantage of it. But I am still worried if Brentford take control of the game at points and we have to batten down the hatches a bit and just defend, are we capable of keeping them out right now with what I'm seeing on the pitch as well? One thing I do have concern about Bergvall is he was one who seemed to be letting midfielders get away from him a bit in that Hoffenheim game. He was allowing midfielders to get wrong side. So obviously if De Zerbi has noticed that and doesn't think Bergvall's able to, improve that coming into this game, maybe he just go with Bentancur Fernandes. But if he's going to trust him, that is something obviously to keep an eye on as well. Midfielders getting on the wrong side of Bergvall.
Yeah, I think for me, I would prefer to see Bergvall on the bench for this game and I'd prefer to see Matheus Fernandes, obviously, because of what he brings us on the ball, but he also brings quite a lot off the ball as well. But it could just be smarter option going into this game to play a Bentancur and Tonali, knowing that we're not going to be at full strength, first game of the season, and it's nowhere near the strongest backline that we got. You know what I mean? Like Van der Ven, the captain of the club, now missing. Pedro Porro, the vice captain of the club, missing in this game as well. So is it smarter just to go into this game go for the tried and tested of Rodrigo Bentancur, who was just so important to us at the back end of last season, and give us that just a bit more protection that we didn't have in that Hoffenheim game because we were just so wide open.
Yeah. It just depends how De Zerbi sees it. Does he think Bergvall is good enough, could do a job in this game, or does he feel like he needs the extra protection? That's up to... I think we probably do. That's kind of my feeling, that we probably do need the extra protection. But if starting Bergvall, if he feels like he needs to start him so that he feels like and he can trust him in this game, then I'm willing to see what happens. And I think Bergvall can do things on the ball that the other ball, especially Bentancur, I don't think can. And maybe it gives us more opportunity to maybe create more chances and score goals. Are we going to win this game by keeping a clean sheet? I don't know. So maybe getting someone a bit more offensive might work. But, doesn't mean you would just allow the team to be wide open, does it? And so maybe he thinks about it and goes, just get someone like Bentancur in, shoring up, and maybe try and, be a bit more pragmatic. And obviously, we're going to go for it. That's how De Zerbi is. We're going to try and win. We're not going to go there and play for the draw. We're going to try and win. But maybe just having that little bit more solidity will stand us a good stead. I feel like that's probably the best way to go. But having said that, you look at some of the lineups we were putting out last season, back in the last season, and De Zerbi was able to somehow pull results out of the bag. So you never know. Maybe this is a much better team. Even though the front line isn't great, overall it's a much better team than the teams we were putting out last season.
Yeah, but it's also about the way he's going to play this season compared to the way he's going to play at the back end of last season. It's going to be a different style of play, and that style of play obviously comes with its own dangers. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be against if we just don't go full De Zerbi ball in this game, just because we just don't have our strongest team as of yet, and we kind of just build into that as the season progresses. Even though a draw isn't the worst result for us tomorrow.
No.
Obviously I wouldn't take a draw right now, and you've got to go for the win, and the 3 points would be massive to start off this season with. If we end the game with a draw, let's say it finishes 1-1, it's not the end of the world. Newcastle at home next, and I think hopefully to have some attacking talent in there like Savinho and potentially Marmoush for that game. Obviously, we can take it up to another level. But I do think we're going to see a lot on the ball from Tottenham Hotspur this weekend.
A few tactical concerns or maybe even advantage I'm thinking about. So you spoke about Utara up against Robertson. I think that's definitely a problem. I'm also looking at the other side because Sharda isn't the best dribbler, but what he's very good at is making those runs in behind, out to in.
Yeah.
And now Archie Gray is obviously playing a right back. And also Sharda's rapid when he gets going and when he's off the ball. So Gray tracking those runs could be a problem, I feel, because I know Gray's played a right back, but I don't like he is an intelligent player, but he's got to make sure he's switched on all the time, making sure he knows where Sharda is, and he makes sure that he's not allowing any of those through balls to get to him, because that is definitely an avenue I think they're going to target. I think both wings are going to target. I'm looking at their back line, and I think there's one thing I spot as a potential advantage and also a potential weakness. So I'm looking at Keane Lewis-Potter at left back, and I definitely think because he's a winger who's been converted into a fullback, and he's done a great job, but I definitely think he's not like the strongest defensively. So I'm looking at Mikey Moore, and I'm looking at could he get at him potentially, and could that something we could get some joy out of? I think there is potential there, but on the flip side, that could be a strength, but also could be a massive weakness, because it also means he's quite good going forward. And he's also quite a relentless fullback when he plays there, and he's always getting in good positions, and he's always being hard to track. And having Mikey Moore track someone like him could be a problem as well, I feel.
Yeah, potentially. I think they work so well together down that side as well, Lewis-Potter and Kevin Sharda. And I think Archie Gray might be a long afternoon for him, having those two bombarding down at you, pulling you left, right and centre as well.
Because I think there's probably, in a weird way, I know Tell's had a better pre-season, but in a weird way, there might be more of a chance of getting more joy out of Lewis-Potter than Tell out of Coyote, because Coyote's quite a physical player and he's quite hard to play against. So, yeah, I don't know what you'd want to do with that, but that might happen. But as well, I think Tell's probably might be better at tracking Coyote than Moore might be with Lewis-Potter. So I think that's definitely something to watch out for. Midfield, I think we could definitely. I think it's going to be quite an even battle in that midfield.
Sangare I think he's going to be one hell of a player in this league.
Yeah, but we got Tonali, we got Gallagher, very physical players who run a lot. I think technically good. I think they've got workhorses with Jensen, Janelt, and Sangare. So no, not saying that they're weak there, but I think it could be a good matchup.
Yeah. It just depends if it's Bentancur, I've got a lot more confidence of us winning that midfield battle. But with Bergvall, I'm not so sure, because like you said last week, he just left so many gaps in that midfield.
But on the ball, I actually would back Bergvall to be able to ask them different questions in Bentancur. I could see Bergvall like bursting past the Janelt and Jensen more and creating space in the forward line, and more than I would see a Bentancur doing that.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
In terms of like driving and ball carrying, 100%. But I think Bentancur can probably keep the ball moving a bit better than Lucas Bergvall as well. So both have strengths and weaknesses. I think Bergvall's a brilliant ball carrier. Bentancur can do it, but nowhere near as good as Bergvall, in my opinion. Another situation which could be a bit worrying is Igor Thiago and Van Hecke, because Van Hecke likes to step out, likes to be really aggressive, which will obviously leave a gap at the back. And Igor Thiago is really good at exploiting those little gaps at the back.
And the funny thing with that is that was Senesi's job when he was at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
He was that centre-back who would step out and be aggressive and try and get there first. But obviously, from what we saw against Hoffenheim, Van Hecke, and obviously what we've been seeing in pre-season is Van Hecke likes to do that. That's kind of his role. And so Senesi was kind of playing the player that, mops up and doesn't step out. But
I think he did a fairly good job at it.
Yeah, I'm not saying he did bad, but that's not what he's been used to at Bournemouth. He's been used to being that role. So how he adapts to it long term and how he creates that partnership with Van Hecke, there might be some teething problems there. There might be moments where Van Hecke steps out and Senesi's not switched on enough to track for Thiago. Maybe they'll be in sync. Let's hope so. They're both very good defenders. They're both intelligent defenders. So let's hope.
I think they built up a fairly decent partnership in the first pre-season, but it is just pre-season.
It's a different level. Yeah, I do think that's a problem because Thiago's strong. So if Van Hecke steps out and looks to put it on Thiago, and Thiago steps up to him and is able to hold him off, that creates a big problem. And we saw that when Van Heck had, stepped out against, I think it was Getafe. We could see the goal. Not so much in some of the other games, but there has been a few moments where he's been aggressive, stepped out and just hasn't got it right. And all of a sudden it's left Tottenham vulnerable.
Yeah. And when he steps out, he doesn't really have that recovery pace to be able to get back.
Which
and
is
that's why him and Van de Ven will just look so good together.
Exactly.
But we don't have that as of yet. We've got him and Senesi who are both kind of slow.
Or even if Udogie was there, you would think he would have that pace to help out. And obviously Robertson, we'll have to wait and see. I think Robertson's more intelligent, so he might be in more of the right positions to make sure we're not left as open. But Udogie just has that raw pace, doesn't he?
Yeah, look, we've spoken about a lot of worries going into this game, but in terms of like strengths and how we can hurt them, I guarantee you there'll be a number of chances that we make this weekend by just Gallagher just being relentless and pressing the life out of them. I think Gallagher could actually be quite important in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I think you make a good point. I think I could see maybe a situation where Robertson's getting to the final third, putting the ball in, and Gallagher's arriving late. Or maybe Rishi's getting on the end of something. I think definitely Robertson, hopefully his delivery can stand us in good stead here. I think, look, Tell against Coyote, I don't know how to feel about that matchup. Obviously, Tell's in really good nick in the moment. So it's tough to know. We'll see when he comes up against him. I think, in theory, Coyote could be not a good opponent for Tell, I would say. I think, in theory...
He's a very good player, Coyote.
That's the problem. So I'm saying, in theory... That's the kind of player Tell might struggle against, but hopefully...
I'm backing Tell.
Maybe Tell gets something.
Look, I think it will be a really interesting battle, that, and I think Coyote will come out on top sometimes, but I think there will be times where Tell will be able to come out on top, and we need to make the most out of it.
As I mentioned, more up against Lewis Potter, I think he could potentially get some joy there. And, when I look at advantages, I think if I'm looking at Bentancur there, like, I just don't see enough advantages on the ball that we can get at that Brentford midfield. Whereas if we have a Bergvall or a Fernandes, like, I do think I know Janelt and Jensen are good players, and they're good they're solid Premier League players, but they're players that, if you're good enough to turn against them, I think there is opportunities to do that, and there's opportunities to exploit them and to create that space. And I just feel like Bentancur wouldn't do that enough for me if he was on the pitch, whereas we might get more opportunities to do that with Bergvall or Fernandes on the pitch. So hopefully that's somewhere where we could create those little spaces in the midfield by turning on those two players.
Yeah, I think Fernandes is obviously the preferable player to have in there. If you have Fernandes and Tonali with Conor Gallagher there, you've got three just proper workhorses, and two of them have proper quality on the ball as well. So I would love to see that midfield going into the game tomorrow, but yeah, there's just something about it. I think Fernandes does start on the bench, and it's going to be either Bergvall or Rodrigo Bentancur. But it's interesting as well, looking at these we haven't conceded a goal to Brentford in the last 3 games.
Yeah, and we're
2-0, 2-0.
We're unbeaten at the G-Tech as well.
They've beaten us at Spurs, but just...
Yeah, the G-Tech were unbeaten, so we have a good kind of record there. Although I think there's been a few draws, but...
What do you think about this probability? These probabilities saying Brentford are actually favourites for this game?
I mean, I don't disagree. I actually do think, look, on the balance of things, I would say right now, given the team that we think we're going to play, I think it's probably more likely that Brentford win than we win. I do kind of agree with that, and as unfortunate as it is. I do think for me it would be a surprise if Tottenham come out victorious. Not to say it's impossible, not to say it's like a massive shock. I wouldn't say it was a massive shock, but it would be, for me, it would actually be more surprising if Tottenham won than if Brentford won. But I think, as you say, it's pretty close. Like, it's 4%, so it's not exactly a major... That's kind of how I see it. I think it is more likely Brentford win, but not by, like, tons.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a very interesting matchup tomorrow. Regardless of it, I'm just can't wait to get started, man.
Yeah,
First
I know.
Game of the Premier League
All kicking
always brings up its hopes and its dreams, and we go into it full of hope and full of desire, and hopefully the team are full of confidence going into it tomorrow.
And if Coventry can get a result tonight, that would set things up nicely for tomorrow. But yeah,
absolutely.
But either way, I'm pumped for tomorrow. Let's see what happens. It feels like it's the first game of a new manager, doesn't it? It feels like everything's brand new. Everything is like the start of a new dawn. We have had this feeling before, and it's all fallen flat very quickly.
Many false dawns.
Many false dawns. I just hope Spurs. Look, if we get a result, amazing tomorrow. But I just hope Spurs fans don't go overboard with what they see tomorrow. Look, obviously, if we have a complete stinker, we get battered, and we're an absolute mess. You've got to obviously call that out, and I don't expect us to be just all over the place and losing 3-0. I'm not saying I expect that, but if we do, if it's a close game, we just come unstuck, we maybe lose 2-1, or we don't maybe have the best performance that we hope to have. I just hope we take the context in. We've got new signings coming in. This is nowhere near going to be our first choice 11 going into the new season. So I just hope we all realise that and we don't go overboard if we don't get the result we want tomorrow.
And also just so many players you're trying to integrate at the same time. You need time to gel. You need time for everyone to work with each other. In particular, we're aiming to make 3 new signings in the last, week and a half or 10 days of the window. You know what I mean? So many new players, new system, new everything. Everything's new going into this season. So it's going to be a slow burner. Yeah. And I think anyone that thinks that we're just going to come into it and just hit the ground running and, like everyone's thinking about, go like what Ange did.
Yeah, basically.
First 10 games, win every game. Look, everyone wants to see it.
That started with a draw that season.
It's true, against Brentford as well, at the G-Tech. But I just think it's fanciful thinking to think that we can do that.
Obviously, if we are a shambles and we end up getting battered and it's all over the place, obviously there do have to be questions asked. I'm not saying they don't. I'm also not saying anything tomorrow is acceptable. I'm just saying if it's a close, if we're show signs, if we lose, just don't go overboard.
Yeah. But in Predict the Prem, we both went for 1-1.
We did.
In this game. You sticking with 1-1?
I think, I still think there's a good chance we draw the game. I'm hoping we're not all over the place defensively and we're solid enough to keep them at arm's length for most of the game. I think Brentford will get chances, there's no doubt about it. It's whether they take advantage of them. I don't think it's going to be like they get 10 clear-cut chances. I firmly believe we're good enough in possession and to have the ball that we can maybe control the game with the ball and for enough of it to not be completely vulnerable to them. But they will create chances. I do think they'll score. I'm hoping that we look good enough on the ball and we create enough that we maybe just get a goal from somewhere, a bit of magic or maybe a bit of luck, maybe a deflection or something. We just get a goal and we get the draw.
It's going to come from Conor Gallagher.
Deflected shot.
That he's going to win by pressing the shit out of Aya or Nathan Collins.
I don't know what it is. There's something just telling me we're going to go score a deflected goal tomorrow. I don't know what it is.
But there you have it. We're both going for 1-1 tomorrow. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section below. Me and Sim are going to be with you here for the live watch along tomorrow. So come and join us around 5:15. And if you want to see our episode of Predict the Prem for the round 1, go to On The Ball because we are going head-to-head once again this season. So go to On The Ball and check that out. And Embargoed Press Conference going to be with you at 10:30 tonight as well. But thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you all tomorrow on game day.
Come on.
Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.